appears Canada's controversial plan to buy new F-35 fighter jets is dead.
The Conservatives decided to fight climate change using something they called intensity-based targets.
Canadian campaigners call it a, quote, war on science.
A secret document leaked to CBC News seems to explain why.
And with that, welcome to Radio Free Canada. I'm Darren Howard.
And I'm Robert Nisbet.
This is our year-ending show while we spend segments mocking Stephen Harper, making fun of Monsanto, and we'll be doing a couple of other things.
We'll be mocking the media as well.
Remember, everything that we're about to do is our opinion and only our opinion as protected under Section 2 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
And as usual, you're presenting media which is presented under international fair use copyright law.
So strap yourself in. We're going to count down the top 12 things that Stephen Harper wishes we'd forget while we remember 2012 and the way the New World Order dropped the ball. Activism is working, and we're part of the solution. So stay tuned as we bring you all kinds of stuff. We're going to talk about banks. We're going to talk about unions. We're going to talk about everything Vic Taves wishes was in the closet.
And climate change as well.
Oh, man. This is a good day, and it's good to hang out here. Let's start things off right with our friend Rick Mercer.
I have always loved politics. Politics has always been my baseball. I love the competition, I love the ideas, I love the brilliance, the pomposity, and the idiocy of some of the great characters that practice the art. And I have always believed it's an art worth practicing. Now, I understand, in Canadian politics, the bar is very low. Let's face it, you've got to get on your stomach and crawl to fit under there. But there has always been a little bit of sunshine. There's always been a little bit of light. This past week, I'm not so sure. Robocalls. We now know that in the last federal election, hundreds of thousands of calls came out of Edmonton to Liberal and NDP voters in 18 different ridings, claiming they were calling from Elections Canada, lying, sending people to voting booths that didn't exist. And what's really freaking me out is that I'm not angry, which is a very bad sign because anger is my cardio. I think I may be disappointed. Either that or I'm having a stroke. Now, I understand in politics there have always been dirty tricks. But this is not some drunks tearing down some posters. This is not even a negative ad campaign. This is big money and technology targeting people who want to vote and trying to physically stop them. We can't have this. You put 10 Canadians in a room, they'll disagree on 10 things. Fine. But we have always agreed that voting is a fundamental right. This is not a left or a right thing. This is just a thing. If we don't believe in that, what else do we have to believe in? If stopping people who want to vote from doing so becomes the new normal, we will have hit a new low in the sewer that is Canadian politics. Keep this up, we'll need a snorkel to get under that bar. Any deeper, we all drown.
That's exactly how you start things off, with a smile, right here at Radio Free Canada.
I'm sure that's just one of the things that our Harper government would rather the Canadians forget.
Could we say robocall about 14 times over the next 15 minutes? Well, let's see if we can.
We'll try and work on it.
You know, there's a lot of things that the Harper government wishes we would forget. We're going to be talking about Idle No More coming up, GMOs on your kitchen table, and we're going to be talking about monetary systems that just don't work. So remember, banks don't pay income tax, you pay income tax. Let's roll another clip.
Okay.
What do you want to do, Matt?
Well, we should talk about the F-35s, you know, our Canada's next generation fighter.
I love it. Okay, let's just jump right into the continuing nightmare that is the Conservative policy on warmonging. It is Radio Free Canada's top 12 reasons to love our dictatorial leader.
With a developing story tonight, it appears Canada's controversial plan to buy new F-35 fighter jets is dead because the costs are skyrocketing even more than previous estimates. Global News has learned an independent audit of the proposal shows the price has risen so high, the government is now considering other options. When the F-35 was first proposed, the cost to buy 65 of the jets was $15 billion. The Auditor General later said that was too low. The true cost would be closer to $25 billion, and even that figure was disputed by some as too low. Now, this most recent audit has found the cost could be as much as double what the Auditor General predicted, which puts the whole thing closer to $50 billion. Global News has learned the government is now going to open up the process to other bidders.
And yes, I do love opening things off just like that. Okay, it's been a stellar year this year for us making fun of Stephen Harper.
I tell you, I had a hard time narrowing it down to just a few things for the segment because there was so much material to work with.
Anybody who's been with us for a while here, anybody who's been hanging around Radio Free Canada knows that we abjectly mock Stephen Harper on Mondays. But he gave us so much ammunition when we did the year-end planning. We're sitting there going, how do we...
What do we talk about for this guy? You know,
like the last, do we talk about his cabinet? Do we talk about what they're doing on the planet, international, local?
And of course, if you find there's something you think we've missed that we should have covered, please let us know on our Facebook wall.
Okay, so get on Radio Free Canada on our Facebook wall, but remember, if you're one of those conservative trolls, don't bother getting on our website and saying that we suck. We realize you think we suck. Too bad. This is a conscious revolution. We're part of the revolution right now.
That's right, but don't forget, last year we had the climate conference in Durban, and we backed out of the Kyoto Accords there.
Let's check it out right here.
Come on, Billy. You'll be late for school.
Oh, Dad, I don't want to wear that stupid spacesuit.
Come on, Tiger. You know the Earth's temperature is 189 degrees. You've got to wear your spacesuit.
Why is it so hot?
Well, Billy, way back in 2006, the Conservatives decided to fight climate change using something they called intensity-based targets.
What's a conservation?
Conservative. They were a political party that didn't like your Uncle Larry or your other Uncle Larry who travels with your Uncle Larry.
So they didn't fight climate change because the other countries were gay?
Well, we're not sure what happened there. All we do know is the Earth is now unbearably hot and you have got to wear a spacesuit.
Mom never made me wear a spacesuit. I miss her.
I miss your mom too, Billy. It's too bad she fell asleep on the beach. You've got to wear your spacesuit, you little scamp.
Backing out of the Kyoto Accord, part of our shame-based heritage.
Man, that is... Okay, so just explaining it, okay, for those of you who have been living under a rock, Stephen Harper threw the environment under the budget bus.
Oh, completely.
I mean, it was a joke, okay? You know, proving that democracy is a joke. 26% of the population vote for him, and he throws every river and lake, out the door.
Out the door, everything, covering everything from environment to economic plans.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, he's just trashing us.
So we've got to get those people who are really interested in saving the planet. If you've taken a look at the last 3 clips and you're even awake in the slightest, you got to realize Harper is not working for our best interests.
No, he's trying to protect the Canadian economy.
Economy, which is,
Canada's bank profits.
That's right. Okay, so when you hear the news, substitute the word bank profits for the word economy, and you'll understand how things work. Let's just take a look here. You want to run this?
Well, someone else had an opinion on Stephen Harper's attitude towards the climate as well.
Okay, let's run it.
Canadian campaigners call it a, quote, war on science, a slow and systematic unraveling of environmental and climate research budgets under the Conservative government of Stephen Harper. Hundreds of researchers have lost their jobs, with those remaining reportedly forbidden from talking to the media without a government minder. The Harper government says the cuts are part of a wider deficit-reducing austerity program. But Green groups instead accuse Harper of trying to stifle criticism of Canada's development of its oil sands fields in Alberta, which hold huge reserves. In recent years, Harper has weakened green regulations and pulled Canada from the Kyoto Protocol. That's the global treaty to limit greenhouse gas emissions. Last week, the Climate Action Network named Canada as the worst performer in the developed world for its climate change policies, coming in at 58th out of 61 countries measured. It led Greenpeace to describe Canada as, quote, the poster child of climate inaction.
Oh, just another thing for Canada to be proud of for its image on the world stage.
Yes, I'm so proud of our image on the world stage, thanks to our dictatorial leader, Mr. Robo-Collis himself, Stephen Harper, making us look like a bunch of ass clowns on the international stage. Okay, I mean, climate change was just part of it. We got the Colossal Fossil Award once again.
In Dubai, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Harper, for that. We got kicked off of the Security Council. And then what do we have?
Now we have the poster child for climate inaction. Climate change in action. Oh boy, we'll pose for a picture now.
Yes. I'm proud to be Canadian. I can see guys on backpacks picking their, flag off, right? Maybe the American flag would look better this year, right? No, actually back up on that
But there's a reason for all these changes for Canada's image.
Oh, yes. Okay, check it out.
If you have noticed a change in the Harper government's relationships with other countries, a secret document leaked to CBC News seems to explain why. It shows a dramatic shift in foreign policy. That trade may trump all else. Lori Graham has this national exclusive tonight. Lori.
Peter, I received this envelope in my mailbox. In it, a draft copy of the government's foreign policy plan that would force Canada to reconsider its approach to countries that don't share our values. It's detailed and comes down to one thing: money. The draft copy of the new foreign policy plan received by CBC News, dated in September and marked secret, provides a roadmap for Harper's cabinet, setting out a foreign policy that takes a sharp turn from west to east and to Africa and South America, and is driven by the government's top priority, the economy. We need to be frank with ourselves. Our influence and credibility with some of these new and emerging powers is not as strong as it needs to be and could be. Harper has had only 2 official visits to China since taking office in 2006. This was his view back then.
But I don't think Canadians want us to sell out important Canadian values, our belief in democracy, freedom, human rights. They don't want to sell that out to the almighty dollar.
But this draft foreign policy would suggest a rethink. 21st century foreign policy must lead with the economy. The plan takes a long-range view and estimates that by 2050, 80% of future global growth will be from emerging markets, Asia, South America, and Africa, which currently represent only 8% of Canada's trade. The stakes are high. Canada's future prosperity is linked to the success of these countries. To succeed, we will need to pursue political relationships in tandem with economic interests, even where political interests or values may not align. There's very little in the plan about Canada's values, human rights, or international aid.
All right, Lori, thank you. Lori Graham in Ottawa tonight.
Now you understand why Harper's cutting funding to the CBC. Because sometimes they do stumble upon the truth.
But really, honestly, they're hitting it right on the money. They've changed the entire international policy just to money grubbing.
Yeah, so we'll suck up to dictators and tin pots.
Yeah, saying that, our political interests may not align, but we're still going to pursue business.
Because we must pursue the economy.
The
bank profits.
Economy. Do they do that figure thing, though, when you say economy?
Economy.
It's something made up. It's just BS. Okay, let's, you want to do this? Budget?
Well, it
yeah,
ties in with this thing, what we're talking about. Because
let's just jump right in. Here we go.
Another clip from the CBC.
Well, there was another round of public service cuts today, the latest in a series that will eventually see 19,000 jobs eliminated. Nearly 1,500 of today's notices were to Service Canada employees. Still, the government says Canadians will experience more efficient, cost-effective service. Lori Graham has this story tonight for us from Ottawa. Lori.
Peter, as thousands of federal government employees received word their jobs could be cut, some cabinet ministers were out talking about strengthening the economy. More than 5,000 people across the country received the news their jobs could be affected. As notices went out, some federal cabinet ministers did too, holding events, perhaps trying to shift focus. Gail Shea was in Charlottetown to talk about innovation and learning.
Our goal, of course, as governments is to help build a better economy and a better way of life for all Canadians.
Meanwhile, 1,200 Canadians from her own department, National Revenue, received notices their jobs could be cut. And 28 people who process EI claims in Shay's home province received notice their office was closing. Both the Revenue and Human Resources ministers were asked about public service job cuts too. They said the government needs to be more efficient and frontline services will not be affected.
All right, Lori, thank you. Lori Graham.
Okay, so we're taking votes on our Facebook site on whether or not Stephen Harper is a robot. I am Darren Howard.
And I am Robert Nisbet.
Stay tuned for the next section, the next segment, the next impressive broadcast from Radio Free Canada as we count down the best of 2012.